Hello, everyone. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This episode is Astral Shield. Before we get into it, just want to mention we have two new patrons, JWC and Amanda, who are Astral Scouts supporting the work of Astral Club. Thank you very much. Should you like to join them, you will get many downloaded episodes now. I think at least 70 that you can put on an app and just listen to it offline, a podcast app. Of course, there's no commercials, and there's an email where we can talk back and forth, and of course, you get advanced videos on Sunday. If you're interested, there's a link in the description. And just want to remind people, if you're interested in private lessons to Astral Project, be more than glad to send you information. You'll also find an email in the description. Astral Shields. This is a question that I think comes up more often than it really should. But I've noticed that a lot of people from time to time, especially folks who haven't traveled extensively on the astral, seem to be concerned about it. So I decided to do an episode just discussing how to use an astral shield. Now, when I get into these different steps, you might think, oh my goodness, do I have to do this every single time? The answer is no. Once you get the whole process down, you can re-raise your astral shield in a matter of a few seconds. It's just you have to get used to utilizing it, to raising that shield. And that takes a little bit of practice. But after after you get used to it, it's just literally a thought and it returns. So why do we need an astral shield? Well, just like in the physical, if you're going to go to the bad section of town, it might make sense to have some sort of means of self-defense. For instance, sometimes when the police are being sent into an area that is experiencing a lot of civil unrest, they go in completely armored up with their own shields. Well, when we go into areas of the astral that are in the lower densities, there are entities there. They can't really hurt you, but they can be bothersome. And to somebody who's new, they can actually be scary. So how do we help prevent interaction with these entities? We don't want to hurt them, but if we're just not in the mood to interact with them, how can we shield ourselves from them so that they will keep their distance? Well, there is a old occult method called the Tower of Light. Now this goes back at least a couple hundred years. But I'm getting it in this form from an old book that I have that's called Psychic Self-Defense and Well-Being by Melita Denning. So she pretty much reproduces what I recall seeing from, I have this 100-year-old book or so, and it had something very similar to this, calling it the Tower of Light. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this version of it. And it's something that, like I said, you can use if you decide to venture or find yourself venturing into the hairier areas of the astral. Okay, so how do we start? Well, first you start with breathing in deeply and evenly. And I've discussed in prior videos how to do pranayama breathing. And if you don't know what that is, look it up online, or you can find my old video. Once again, it's pranayama breathing. It's an old Indian technique. Controlled breathing helps to quiet the physical organism. One controls one's breath going in through the nose. You hold it for a period of time. Then you slowly expel it from the mouth. And then you hold it for a period of time. And as I said, look it up online and you'll find plenty of easy instructions for that. Number 2, progressively relax your whole body. Well, there's a number of ways to do that. I like to use, whenever I'm doing my private lessons, I like using a light hypnosis where a warm light is slowly proceeding up from the toes all the way up to the top of the head, and that the light progressively relaxes the muscle groups. Some people prefer doing the muscle flex method, where you flex your toes, starting with them, and then do it as hard as you can, then release, feeling the energy just releasing and flowing. And then you do that with each muscle group all the way up to the top of your head. Next up, you want to picture yourself as if you are standing up. Now, some people can do this exercise while standing. Others prefer to do it like I did, lying flat on my back. But you can even do it sitting in a chair too. I just find it a little bit more difficult. But you always, no matter what position you find yourself in, you want to picture yourself with spine erect and your body as one straight parallel line. Next up, you want to visualize a ellipsoid is the term they use here. Obviously, it's an oval of intense bright blue light. Some people like white light. Some people like yellow light. I've noticed that the occult versions often talk about blue light, bright blue light in this case. Whichever feels right to you is probably the best for you. They advise that you extend this light 9 inches or so all around your body, and then they say even 16 inches above your head. Look, you're not going to be there with a ruler. You know what to do. Just surround your entire body with this shell of light. And what you're doing here is you're extending your psychic aura, which is what you're actually using for defense purposes here. And once again, this is strictly for defense. I don't believe in offense. Because for the most part, if you're on the lower planes, you're dealing with entities here who are suffering. It's not your job to make their suffering worse. Even if they show hatred, it's really just suffering transferred into another emotion. So what this does is it causes them to shy away from you. Much like if somebody was in a dark room and then suddenly you turned on the lights to the nth degree, they couldn't see it. They'd have to shield their eyes and blink, and they wouldn't be able to open their eyes. That's the type of thing we're going for here. I don't believe in attacking. If you're uncomfortable with an area, then go somewhere else. If you're unsure or unable for some reason to go somewhere else, then just return to your body. There's no reason to attack these entities. Believe me, they're suffering enough already that you don't need to add to their suffering. This is purely for self-defense. Next up, as you're visualizing this blue oval, if you want to use blue light, for instance, they then advise that you have a globe of brilliant white light on top of your head, but not touching your head. In other words, it's more like a halo in the form of a ball. So it's not actually touching your head, but it is hovering right above. And you want to concentrate your attention on this globe so that it becomes brighter and brighter as it burns. They mention here like magnesium level of brightness. You are making this image to represent the light of your higher self. This is really what you're trying to achieve here. You're summoning the energies from your higher self. So you're now encased in this, as they say, effulgent white globe over your head. It's a great word, but I think most people prefer like bright or luminous to that particular word. So you're aware of this bright globe now. It's above your head, and you want to symbolize this as part of the divine force, whatever that means for you. If it means God, fine. If it means the universe or something, whatever, but it should be something that symbolizes something that is greater than yourself. When you feel ready, this dazzling globe should really be, shining forth, and it should permeate all throughout your body at this point. As this globe is shining brighter and brighter, it's also suffusing, going through your entire body. So now we've got an outer shell of your aura, which remains sharply defined with this intense blue light, and it's now filled with this living, vibrant, sparkling white light. At this stage of the game, you now have a fully functional shield. Remember what it feels like, so that you don't have to go through all these steps again. And once you think you have a good idea as to how it feels, you can now let the whole thing fade from your consciousness in full knowledge that the shield is still there and is still protecting you. Whether you're walking about the physical or whether you're trotting about the astral, especially in the lower sections of the astral. So that is the Tower of Light shield. As I said, it goes back probably hundreds of years in occult literature, but I found it in this particular book that I had mentioned earlier, and it was in better English than the old book that I had, which was in a little bit more stilted English. If you like this, please hit the like button, share it with those of like mind, subscribe if you haven't already, make sure that bell is solid so you're notified whenever the Wednesday and Saturday episodes are posted. Questions and comments, of course, are always welcome and very much enjoyed. And as always, this is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.